Good afternoon, grade 11s. Welcome to our exciting class of business studies. Basically, welcome back. For those who have just joined us today, we welcome you to a nice learning platform of which is Africa Teen Geeks. I'll be taking you for business studies for the rest of the year. Welcome to our lesson one or our session one. This is the new term, new month of the year. I hope everyone is excited. Everyone is looking forward of just on finishing 2020 academic year. My name is Hector S. Nkosi. I'll be taking you for business studies grade 11. All right, so guys, today we'll be looking at this topic. We'll be looking at stress, crisis, and change management, basically. This topic is a very important topic in grade 11. You need to know how to explain this topic, basically. It's easy because we know that everyone faces a crisis or a stress or change management, basically. But before I can start with our lesson, I want us to look at the learning outcomes, meaning now the things that you need to be able to do after this topic. So you need to explain the meaning of stress. What is stress? What does it does to people or a person, basically, right? So also you need to outline, mention, or explain the causes of stress in the business environment, e.g., workload, long working hours, time pressures and deadlines, or incompetent managers, basically. Also, you need to discuss or explain the importance of stress management in the workplace. How can we manage stress in a workplace? What things we need to do and stuff. We need to suggest, recommend ways employees can manage stress in a workplace, basically. Also, that's very important, guys. You also need to be able to define the term crisis and give a typical example, a typical example of crisis in the workplace, right? So the stress crisis and the change management, we need to look at this in a workplace. So you also need to outline or mention the internal or external causes of change. You need to be able to identify causes of change from the given scenarios or case study, basically. They'll give you a scenario and you need to identify what causes of change it is. You need to outline, mention, discuss, or explain John P. Cotter's 8 steps of leading change. Basically, we're still going to look at that. All the examples of P. Cotter's, basically. You need to apply John P. Cotter's theory of change using the given scenarios or case studies. So if we still have time, we'll be looking at those theories. Discuss, explain, describe major changes to that people and businesses deal with, e.g., unemployment, retrenchment, globalization, and affirmation action, basically. So your unemployment, basically, we need to discuss it and describe it, even your retrenchment and your globalization, basically. Now, you also need to suggest strategies business can use in order to deal with the globalization and affirmation action, basically. You also need to be able to recommend ways businesses can deal with or manage change in the workplace. So basically, boys and girls, these are the learning outcomes that at the end of this chapter of stress, crisis, and change management, you need to be able to answer all these things at the end of this chapter. And this will prep you for your test exams and your assessments, basically. All right, let's move on. So, boys and girls, today we'll be looking at these topics under the stress, crisis, and change management topic. We'll be looking at the terms and definitions. We'll be looking at the meaning of stress. We'll be looking at the causes of stress. We'll be looking at the importance of stress. All right, let's start with our terms and definitions. So under this topic, under this topic, basically, um, you need to know how to define the word deadlines, right? So we know that your deadlines has to do with dates. We know by now, guys, because we are students, they give us deadlines about the assignments or whatever. So even in a workplace, guys, that thing still applies. So no wonder we always teach you guys to submit your assignments or research on time, because now we're preparing you guys for the workplace, right? So the date which something should be completed or submitted, basically, that's your deadline. Other books, they call it a due date, right? So it's very important, guys, to meet your deadlines. This will also prepare you for your workplace. Even if you've got your own business later in life, if you promised a client that, you know what, you'll get certain things, or you'll get your final product on this day, you must be able to deliver it on that day, guys. Because now, if you don't deliver it on the very same day, you will look bad. Your business will look bad. It will seem as if like your business is incompetent and stuff. The pressures also, right? So the use of persuasion to get someone to do something. So guys, we must have a pressure, guys. Remember, in order for you to reach your deadline, you will be getting a pressure. Let's say the deadline is on Friday. Maybe you have to do a 20-page assignment, and now you haven't submitted that. You haven't done that assignment, and today it's Wednesday. So now, can you see you are already feeling a pressure? Because now, without deadlines, people won't feel a pressure. Basically, people, they will take time, they will do things on their own time. Now let's speak about incompetency. So the incompetency is an inability to do something successful. So if you did not submit your stuff on time, you'll be looked as an incompetent person, right? Let's say now you are selling fish and chips, and now I'm your client. I'm calling you, and I'll be like, you know what? Hi, Mrs. X. Can I please place an order for 60 rands packet of chips? I'll fetch them at 12. Or sometimes I'll ask, at what time, Mrs. X, the packet of chips, they can be ready? Then if Mrs. X says to me, actually, you can come around 12 o'clock, or you can come around 1 p.m. or at 1 p.m. Now, it is Mrs. X's duty to what? To fulfill her promises, basically, to deliver the order. So now, if you go there to Mrs. X fish and chips store, and you found out that Mrs. X hasn't done your fish and chips, and it becomes 10 past 1, 20 past 1, half past 1, 2 o'clock, and Mrs. X hasn't done your order yet, Mrs. X will be looked as an incompetent person, because she did not fulfill the promise. Then now we need to look at the overload. Overload, we know that is to put many things in or on something or someone. If you want to overload something, basically is to do many things at once. We're saying that thing, it's an overload. Now, vision, we know vision, it's where we want to see ourselves in future. So basically, your vision, guys, is the ability to think or plan the future with imagination, basically, right? So it's when you visualize and when you think, where you want to see yourself in the nearest 2 years, nearest 6 months, nearest 3 weeks, or nearest 4 weeks. That's the vision, right? Then communication, we know communication, it's where change whatever thing, whether via speaking, writing, or via cell phone or a telephone. Basically, that's your communication, is an imparting or exchanging of information by speaking, writing, or using other medium. We can communicate via social media. you can communicate via website, you can communicate via writing on a piece of paper, you can communicate via speaking verbally, you can communicate with so many platforms, boys and girls. And we know businesses nowadays, they communicate with so many things. Just like right now, guys, I'm communicating with you via the Zoom app, basically. I'm teaching you visually, basically. That's another form of communication, right? Consolidated gains. Now, with your consolidated gains is to bring together separate parts into a single or unified whole. That's where we speak about your consolidated gains. It's when you bring something um, and make it a single thing. The other terms that you need to look is the proactive, so controlling a situation rather than just responding to it after it has happened. You need to be proactive as a person, guys. So you know when you're controlling a situation rather than just responding to it after it has happened, you are proactivating, basically. That's how we define it. No, and then another thing, a disaster. We know, guys, what is a disaster from natural disasters. I know you have dealt with natural disasters in social sciences in primary, so you know the word disaster, that it's an accident or natural catastrophe that causes great damage or loss of life. We know that you've got tsunami, or you can have any disaster, not even natural disasters only, but they can be any other disasters, basically, where it's just a sudden accident. You were not expecting it, and it will cause the damage of life or a loss of life, basically. Right. Then solutions, you solving a problem or dealing with a difficult situation, right? So that's a solution, right? To find uh, to solve a problem or dealing with a difficult situation. So you must find a solution. So a solution is sort of like an end point. What are you going to do afterwards? You need to find a solution, and also your morale, it's your confidence, your enthusiasm, and discipline, basically, right? Then you must also know your turnover, the rate at which something changes, right? So all these terms, guys, are very important in this chapter, as by now you know how do they work, or how do you define them, basically, guys. Now, since we are starting the chapter, basically, you'll see all these terms, basically, right? So we have dealt with the terms. Now let's look at the meaning of stress. Now, with the meaning of stress, basically, we know that stress is defined as a state of emotional or mental strain. So guys, you can be stressed emotionally, right? Or you can be stressed mentally. Majority of the stress takes place mentally, basically, where you can't even think properly. Can you see that in mental okay, basically? Sometimes you can be stressed emotionally, where it hurts you deep, it cuts you deep, you know. Then the strain can affect memory or concentrate and lowers the morale of employees. So this strain, guys, it can affect the memory or concentration. You know, sometimes when you are stressed, guys, you can't even think properly. You end up doing wrong things in such a way. Let's say you were making yourself a sandwich. You end up taking a cutlery to a bin. Can you see your memory or concentration? It's not going accordingly. So a stress automatically strains the memory or concentration, right? Also, stress refers to the harmful physical, emotional responses that can happen when there is conflict between job demands on the employee and the amount of control an employee has over meeting these demands. So it can be harmful physically, guys. You know, other people, why we say stress can be harmful physically. Other people, when they are stressed, they lose weight, um, they lose hair on their hairline. Some their tone, the skin tone cracks. That's all the symptoms of stress, basically. So the stress refers to harm. So it can hurt you physically and emotionally. So, guys, a stress is not an internal thing only. As much as it's an internal thing, it affects your brain, the way you think, the way your brain functions, your concentration, your memory. But also, if it escalates, it can affect you physically, where now you can lose weight, you can be seen as someone who's been hurt. Do you get my point? Then it is the wear and tear our bodies experience as we adjust to our changing environments. So we know that wear and tear, it's sort of like a depreciation. So a stress can be seen as a wear and tear our body experiences as we adjust to changing environments, basically. So a stress, guys, is taxing you emotionally and physically, basically. Right. Now, let's look the cause. Sorry. Okay. Sorted. Now, let's look at the causes of stress in the business environment. Now, we want to see now what stresses people in a workplace or what stresses people in a business environment, right? So, the heavy workload or unrealistic targets. Sometimes your manager can come at work and say, you know what, I want you to do this within 5 hours. So now you have to leave what you were doing and you have to do your manager what your manager just what told you, right? So sometimes we know in a what you call in a what you call this uh, okay, I forgot what I wanted to say, but I wanted to make an example about unrealistic targets. Like in a retail, yes, I wanted the word retail. Like in a retail environment, they do have targets, guys, unrealistic targets. Like, for example, guys, they do have targets. Let's say now in a retail, they'll be like, last year's during Black Friday, we made a target of 38,000. Then they'll be like to their employees, this year we must take it up by 2,000 more. Therefore, we want to make it 40,000 this year. Can you see now? It's impractical. What if the employees, they don't meet the target of 40,000? Because remember, the targets are based on what we have made previously, right? So last year it was 38,000, and now this year they want us to make a target of 40,000. Now the employees, they'll start stressing and be worried that what if we don't meet um, the certain target that the employer has required, basically. Another cause of stress in the business environment is your long working hours, guys. Remember that, guys, a brain needs to function. No wonder, as per constitution, guys, every worker here in our country, especially South Africa, is subjected to not work more than 8 hours. So someone can work 8 hours downwards. More than 8 hours, it will be seen as an overtime. But sometimes long working hours, it's a cause of a stress also. The time pressures and deadlines basically causes stress because now you'll be thinking, oh, I have to submit this document within 5 hours. Therefore, the time pressure and deadlines, they are always stressing us. Even you guys as a students, basically, I can tell you right now, when you sit down for your exam or your assessments, let's say you're writing for 1 hour and now they say 5 minutes left and you're still left with 20 marks, you'll start panicking. That's type of stress. You'll start stressing that, oh my God, I have, uh, I'm still left with so many marks and I only left with 5 minutes. You'll start stressing. Also, another cause of stress is the inadequately trained subordinates, right? So that's another one, basically. The necessity of attending meetings, right? So if you have to attend meetings, now you'll be stressed that, oh my God, I have to go attend meeting at a certain place. Let's say that place, it's far, there's traffic and stuff like that, you'll start stressing and stuff like that, right? The work demands, intruding on family and personal life. So now we know that work demand, um, including your family and personal life, can also stress you guys. So that sometimes you find that you've got work demands, and at the same time you've got issues with your family or your personal life. Things are stressing you, your own finances are stressing you, your family, you don't get along with your sisters, your brothers, your mom, your dad, your grandmother, your father. Can you see now? And plus the work demands, all these things, guys, they'll be stressing you, and you won't perform well at work. You need to know all these causes of stress. Keeping up to date with the new technology also, this can also be seen as a cause of stress, because now you need to keep up on what is happening currently in our country with the technology, basically. So that can be stressful also, because if you don't keep up, you'll be seen as someone who fall behind, then should that thing be implemented, you still need to learn it, and you need to keep up while things are going. Just like now, guys, everything is virtual, everything is online. And I'm telling you right now, guys, this thing of homeschooling, guys, it's going to work going forward, this thing of online schooling, it's going to work going forward, because now the thing, this corona has proved that it is possible to learn from home. You just need discipline. But now, you guys, some of the schools are under stress that what if majority of the learners are not coming back because of this pandemic, and because of what if other learners, they adapt to online schooling, what's going to happen going forward? So can you see other schools of which they'll be under stressed now? Also, the conflict with those in the business with different beliefs and values. So also, if there are any conflicts, they might lead to a stress. More causes of stress: taking work home. Remember now, let's say you are in a business environment, they gave you work and you're going to take the work home. We know that when you get home, guys, you relaxed, because home, it's your own comfortable space. That's where you can do whatever you want to do. So the pace in which you want to work, it won't be user friendly. Interpersonal relationship with colleagues. Sometimes, let's say, you guys have different personalities. Sometimes it might stress you guys, because there are other things that you will need from your colleagues, guys. Let's say you need something from your colleague, but because you guys don't see eye to eye, that thing might also stress you, basically. The amount of travel required by work, it might stress you also, guys, where you could be like, you know what, let's say the company sends you in overseas now to perform a certain duty for 3 weeks. Now you'll be stressing that, let's say you've got a newborn baby that is only through 2 months or 3 months. Now you have to leave your baby. Or let's say you've got a child that is very little, a child that maybe it's 2 years old. Now you have to leave your child for 3 weeks, guys. Now, meanwhile, you at overseas, you'll be stressing on, what is my child eating? Is she fine, or is he fine wherever she is? Yeah, obviously, maybe you left your child with one of your family members, or with your wife, or your husband, or your sisters, your brothers, or your mother, your grandmother, or father or grandfather, whatever. But that thing can also stress a lot. Your incompetent bosses, we know that with our incompetent bosses also, it can stress us. Some of our bosses or our senior management, they are not competent enough. When you ask them certain things, they can reply you after 5 days or after a month even, right? The bullying or harassment, that thing can also stress you in a business environment. Let's say there's a colleague of yours who's bullying you or harassing you, you'll be afraid to work now and then, because now you'll be stressed that, ish, I'm still going to face that person. The job insecurity, guys, can also stress you a lot. Now, when we speak of job insecurity, we look at, let's say now you've just gotten a job, let's say it's an internship and it lasts for 6 months. So let's say they're saying to you, after 6 months, should you perform very good, we're going to retain you or keep you to the company or to the business. Now, closer to the 6 months, you'll be stressing a lot that I wonder whether they are going to retain me or keep me in this job, basically. So that's your job insecurity. So the lack of accountability, also if you lack to be accountable, that thing, it will eat you inside and stress you. The lack of participation in decision making also, it's part or it's cause of your stress. And more of your causes of the stress, we look at your lack of finances, human resources, or physical resources. So if you lack through financially, you're going to be stressed because there are certain things that you won't cover, or there are certain things that you won't get for your life, basically. The poor working conditions, they can also stress you. Let's say at work now it's winter, there are no air conditioners or internal heaters or any heaters, that the poor condition can stress you because now the condition in which you are working at, it's not user friendly. Sometimes the poor work condition, sometimes other people, they work under um you know in one of the factories that don't even have toilets and or bathrooms, guys. So that can be poor working condition, can stress you now and then. The lack of power and influence can also stress you guys, because now let's say if you are a senior management and you need to address your team now and then, sometimes it can stress you on how are you going to approach them, because it's difficult, guys, to work with people. The badly designed shift systems, they can also stress you. Let's say now you guys work in shifts. Let's say now they'll be like to you, um, you are coming to work from 3 p.m. till 1 a.m. And I mean at 1 a.m. you need a car, guys. I mean there's no any other transport around 1 a.m. unless you're using like your Uber. But I mean, if you are working, guys, you can't be using Uber every day because, it's costly basically. But you need to find an alternative transport basically. So that thing can stress you. I mean, other companies or other business, they do offer staff transport, but not all of them. Some of them you need to see by yourself that how are you going to manage. So that thing can be stressed because it's a badly designed shift system. So the change in jobs, in job description, management, in technology or in economy. So also to change a job description, guys, must be stressful to start a new job that you haven't done in your whole entire life. The confrontations and conflicts, they can also stress you. The inadequate training, they are also stressful. Now, we also need to look at the importance of stress management in the workplace. So if the stress is not managed efficiently, it can get out of control and cause the staff health issues. We know that also stressed employees are more likely to miss work, both as way to cope due to health related problems, right? Okay, boys and girls, that's it from today. Thank you so much for tuning in, grade 11s. I'm sorry I said grade 12s earlier on. I just finished teaching my grade 12s. So tomorrow we're going to finish from here, the importance of stress in a workplace. Then we'll continue from here tomorrow and carry on. From my side, I say thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in and have a lovely evening. Thank you so much.